Hello everybody, and welcome to the channel, to the Vintage Electronics Geek channel. If you're new here, my name is Jack, and if you are a regular subscriber or viewer, well, my name is still Jack. Today on the workbench we are going to try to turn this lovely box into a box of parts. That's what I'm thinking. Now we're going to try to get this up and running, working. I bought this at a ham swap. Guy wanted $300. I offered $200. We settled on $250. I figured that was a good enough deal. At the time I bought it, for some reason I was thinking it was going to be a communications monitor, and when I got it home and started playing with it, I'm thinking, well, I don't like this one quite as much as I like my other IFR communications monitor. Well, after working with it a little bit, then it dawned on me, it's not a communications monitor, it is a spectrum analyzer. And I'm very happy, actually, that it is a spectrum analyzer. This is a really, really nice spectrum analyzer. It's an older unit, but it's really nice. I'm hoping to get this up and running to replace my current one that I have back here. This one back here will be a backup. Won't get rid of that. I do like that one, my current one, but there's some limitations about it, and it's just time that I move on. This is somewhat of an improvement over that one. I'll definitely gain some things with this one, and I'll lose with that one. For example, the IFR does not have markers. That one has markers. The IFR does not have numbers on the screen that would give you an exact, let's say your decibels. How far down are you? How far up are you? Don't have it. An exact frequency count. Does not have it. It has gradicules, so we'll guess at how far down we are. And it also has a frequency counter up top, so as long as you're in your center, then you have a very close approximation of where you're at. I think for now, for what I do, this is going to be just fine. This is just a stepping stone until I get my next one, which will hopefully be everything that I'm looking for, everything that I talked about, that this one's going to be minus. One nice thing about this one over that one, and this is where I'm going to gain. This one here, I believe, goes all the way down to a negative 175 decibels. That one down to only a negative 100. Well, that's pretty good, except for if you're working on radios and you're trying to get to your SINAD of 12 dB. Well, you know that you need to put your signal generator on negative 121 dB, pipe it through your radio, and see if your SINAD meter can indeed pick that up. That one, like I said, just can't do it. So it's going to be nice to have this for things like that. Now, full disclaimer, full disclosure. If you are new around here, then you're not too familiar with my work, and those that are familiar with my work already know this. One, I don't know what I'm doing. So if you're following along, hoping that I'm going to be able to teach you something, that's not going to happen. I'm learning this, I'm faking this as I go. So if by chance I fix something, I'm sure it's by accident. Secondly, I have a vision issue that has unfortunately increased in later times. And so difficulty, yeah, I definitely have difficulties. Unfortunately, at this point in time, I have become legally blind in my eye again. So I may circle around some things. I may not see some things that you, by all means, do see. Cut me a little leeway on that. I'm doing the best I can in both stances. My technical ability, my technical know-how. I don't know a lot of cause and effects, and so I don't have that built-in database. Just poking and prodding is essentially all I'm going to do, some testing, and hopefully we can get it up and going. Now, if you watch my video, my ham swap video where I announced this, showed this off, you'll note that I'd already started work on it accidentally. Just got the best of me and wanted to open it up and see if there's anything noticeable, blowed up or anything. And with what I pulled out, I didn't see anything that just stood out and at you and said, "Here I am." The unit does work, does power on, I should say. And at the time I got it, there was no signal trace. I don't know if that's what they call it on the spectrum analyzer as you do on an O-scope, but I was void the signal trace. That's what we're going to call it. That's what I'm going to call it. Dorking around, I did get the signal trace to come back on screen. Give me a moment, let me plug this in. As I was saying, you may get a little frustrated at me and you might throw your sock puppets at the screen. I get that, that's okay. Anyway, as stated, this does work. I don't know if I have one issue or if I have multiple issues. We're going to hopefully try to resolve most of them. It'd be great to get all of them. One of the issue is when you power it on. The screen will come up. Oh, just as soon as I throw the big switch. I got this plugged into the isolation variac for your protection. Sometimes it acts like the keyboard may lock up or the CPU lock up. Other times not. And what I mean by that is if I push my menu button or other instructional button, it may or may not come up. Like right there. Now this device has not been plugged in for about a month or about. So let's go ahead and power it back off. Recycle it. As you can see, it has a really nice bright screen. All right. Microphone probably did not pick that up, but it just beeped. Sometimes when it beeps, that means that it's going to function. So let's see. Yep, there we go. So we do have the menu working now. Okay, and great news. You could definitely see we do have signal noise popping up down there as well. So that's awesome. Let me go ahead and plug this into the signal generator. And let's see what we get. So I'm going to put my signal generators on 10 megs. So we push RF10, enter. Let me turn this up some. Pardon my arm. Alright, so we definitely should be getting a signal trace right now, and we're not. So let me double check this. Okay, just check this on the frequency counter. We definitely are getting a 10 meg signal. So why all of a sudden am I not getting a signal here? One nice thing about this versus the other one, as you can see, this offers single sideband, and that's really cool. Also, this one has a tracking generator, which is nice. I got sweeping generator, so I'm okay, but it's really nice that this one has one built into it. One of the options that this has, you can change from 50 to 75 ohm. This has a lot of the options, don't have all of them, but a good chunk of them. I need to turn on, I'll turn on the tracking gen. And then we want to run it through a test. And as you can see, the cal and the RF fails. I had this where actually it passed on all of those when I was first working with this. So as you can see, it's a really nice unit and has great potential. We just need to get in there and find out what's happening. One of the items we're going to check on this to see if it's the sole cause is the internal battery, the button battery. Button batteries, I don't know why they design devices where it's dependent on the button battery. And if the button battery dies, it takes the whole device with it. It shouldn't. It should just not save the settings or configuration or whatever. It shouldn't make the whole machine dependent upon a stupid little battery. Now, I had ordered a battery. I ordered a bunch of batteries, about 30 of them. Unfortunately, the seller was subpar and offered a fake tracking, and parts never showed up, and ended up having to get eBay involved and get my money back. So I don't have the right battery for it. It's a weird number. What we will do is hook up the power supply and port in 1.5 volts and see if that rectifies any of the issues. And if it does, great. I'll put in another battery of another number. So with all that said and done, let's go ahead and let's open this device up. Alright, here we are looking at a naked IFR. Just what you wanted to see, right? This is the top side of the device. We need to pull this shielding off and this brace off to get to these cards here. This card right here is the one that has the battery. Now, how I got the trace to come back last go around was I just simply unplugged this cable here, I do believe, and then maybe this one, and just reset them, and that's all I did, and that got me the trace. So what I did in my previous steps in trying to resolve said issue was I pulled all the connections apart and I shot them all with contact cleaner and reset them. Didn't do anything additionally. So I'm not sure why I lost my signal coming in, but we're going to check that out. I bought some special cables just for doing that, and hopefully I got the correct ends. Not sure exactly what they were called, so I just looked at them via picture and a hope and a prayer. So, pulling off these screws here to this back panel. Which you can't see, but I'm done pulling those off. So you'll see I pull these off. If you've ever messed with a IFR communications receiver monitor and you've ever tore one apart, you know what an absolute bloody nightmare it is to tear the skin off of one. They're so doggone tight. It's like dealing with a Tektronix O-scope or something. Did not make it easy. And with the communications monitor, they have grounding straps, or not straps, but contacts, little copper contacts that loop all the way around, like, well, these right here. But man, that thing is a nightmare to put back together. That's one reason why I haven't really sat down to work on mine. Hard to pull the skin off, hard to put it back on, and then hard to get these little stupid fingers all lined up. This one, just the opposite. Very easy to put together. Very easy to take apart. However, just like the communications monitor, this thing is heavy. Really no good place to grab it. So I just sat it down in my work chair and put it on its face and cushion it and pulled the skin off. Alright, so what we're looking at back here, this compartment is where the battery would go if you wanted to take this thing mobile. So we got, that's what that's about. We don't have that option. We don't need that option. We're going to take this brace off right here. And now we have access to those cards. However, what I want to do, just for giggles, fun, profit, I want to plug this back in. Turn it on. And then port in our signal. Hopefully the device will beep at us when it comes up. And it just did. However, we have no screen. Can't see it from your angle, but we have illuminated LED or part of the screen down there. I've seen that before. I don't know if that's because the button battery is flat and it's confusing the processor and it's just getting all jumbled. Alright, so we got us a beep. Okay, so screen is working. I just wish I knew what I was pushing there. Alright, so 125 megahertz is the default frequency that this is on. Turn my signal generator all the way to 1 volt peak to peak, and we should have a signal, which we do not. Okay, I had to pause the video there for just a moment so I can get this configured without the camera in my way. I couldn't see properly. So what we have is the signal generator shooting out a signal at 100 megs. As you can see, nothing on the screen. Take the cable, walk it over to my other spectrum analyzer, and you can see we do indeed have a signal. Now, this also has a signal generator, but it also has a 100 meg reference output, and that's why we went ahead and put the signal generator on 100, just to demonstrate that things are working. So we take that out of the signal generator, we plug it into the IFRs, and you can just barely see popping up that yes, indeed, there is a signal. So I remove it from there, walk it over here, and nothing. So we need to try to figure out what's happening. Is that all part of one issue or two issues, or what the problem is? Alright, here's a new view for you. I haven't seen this one in a while, right? Right. Alright, so hopefully I positioned the camera well enough where we could see the screen as well as me pulling this ribbon cable out. And that's all I'm going to do. We're going to pull this one out. Of course, card is mobile, but this card does not plug into anything. It just rests in the hole. Alright, so got that out. Sometimes the screen goofs up, sometimes not. And it's no longer wiggly, so we froze the screen. I didn't have anything to do with this. This is all on you. Matter of fact, we froze the whole device. Alright, still no signal. Alright. That light's just saying that it's unlocked, and I think that's That's coming from the digital processor board, the board that we're eventually going to pull out to wire in some wires for the battery. So this is, like I said, essentially all I did to get this thing working, to get the reference line. So now I'm pulling the other end of the cable. That one looks like we froze it. Oh. Still functioning, but the line is not moving. And you can see our unlock is still there, so we goofed up something. There you go. Now you went and broke it. Now you can see right here on the screen we got a blinking red light. Sometimes that works, sometimes it blinks, sometimes it doesn't. And we got blinky lights on the other side as well. I have the service manual. Unfortunately, the service manual does not talk about the status of those lights. What does it mean? I don't know. So I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know anything with the lights. It just, sometimes I could replicate it. I think we just locked up. Nope. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull that card. Now this card has these little pull tabs on them like you're familiar with HP stuff. And like HP, you need to be careful because I'm sure these are delicate. I believe this is called the digital processor board. Those are the ROM chips. Better turn them up right. There we go. And that's what version BIOS this has in it. Not all that awe-inspiring compared to the HP, but nevertheless, it's blue. So the battery on board is a 3-volt. I believe it's a 2320 or something like that. I'll put the correct battery number on screen. I don't remember. It's been a while. Since that battery is welded onto the board, I'm going to just snip it off, solder in some wires in place, and port that out to the external power supply, put the board back in, and see what it does. So this has 2 legs. It's being held here, and then one up underneath. In a bunch of junk that I bought, I didn't realize that I had some button cell holders. I don't think it would hold quite such a large battery, but what I will do is, if I could find a battery that'll fit into it that's 3 volts, I'll put it in here. If not, then I'll just solder the leads to the battery, heat shrink the battery, duct tape it to somewhere on the board. Call it a day. Go get drunk, drive my tractors, shoot my guns. Without the getting drunk part, because I don't drink. Alright, so let me do that and I will be right back. Okay, I have the new wires in place. We're going to check it for continuity. Make sure we have no shorts. Probably not going to be able to hear this buzzer because it is so awfully loud. And can I put this where you could see it maybe? Okay, change my lighting a little bit. Now you can see where it says shirts. So okay, awesome. And this is my wire here. Perfect. Okay. So now what I need to do is snip these little leads. And put this into the fire. One thing I found with sliding these into these rails, a little challenging. Got to get it just right. It's almost like one of them gained a little weight over the years. Ah, shoot. Got that wire caught in there. Okay. Our power supply. We get some jumpers. Can't really see the work area I'm in, but it's way over here at the end of the workbench. Okay. Alright, because of camera angle, you really can't see the power supply settings, but I can. Let me put that at 1.5 volts, or in the neighborhood. 1.2 works. Just toggled it over to amps. Let's go ahead and fire this up. And let's see what happens. Right after I turn the variac on. The power supply, same 0.01 amps draw, so really low. Wasn't expecting anything per se. Okay, we have no buttons, and our LED light up here is not flashing. Looks like bugs on a fly swatter or something. While we're waiting for that, the old battery that came out of there was a 2325. Alright, looks like we froze. No flashy light. No buttons. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure if I got multiple issues or just one. Because that all goes back to this board we were just messing with. Okay, we got a beep. Alright. However, we have nothing. However, let's make some settings, because next time we turn it off, let's see if the power supply does do what the battery's supposed to do, back up our settings. So I'm sure we're going to have to set this up again, or turn this off, I mean. Let's run another test on it. Alright, so still failed. But now we have our blinking light on back here. There's our blinky light. And we'll test this generator. Or its reference and nothing. And if we go over here to the signal generator, which we just activated, we see nothing. There we go. Trying to figure out how to get there. I remember now. Yeah, as you can see, 175 negative. So that's really awesome. That will come in handy for a lot of things. Alright, so nothing. So what we need to do now is let's go ahead and flip it on its back, and we'll come in here and we'll double check our signal source for as far in as we can. We have a corresponding blinky light up here as well, right here. And this is on the synthesizer board, and that's also something that corresponds with the other light. Again, I don't know what these lights represent. I don't know if that's good or bad to have them blinking or not blinking. Sometimes I can emulate the lights. The smart thing would have been to turn this off and did it with no power to it, but never been accused of being smart. Oh, what a doofus. Flipped it around the wrong way. That's where I've been going. I don't want to go there. Tapping the positive up. Accidental shorts. Okay, power supply is still good. Well, I was getting ready to set up for the next shot, which was going to be to follow our signal in from here through the assorted wires and tubes and other devices on up into here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and then Shazam out to there, right? So that's what we were going to do. But as I was getting locating a wrench to unscrew the connectors that needed unscrewed, others just needed to be popped out. And by the way, size 8 if you're messing with the SMA. So with that, let me zoom you in here and then you'll see what I saw. Alright, that might explain why I'm not getting a signal into the display anymore. Because that is part of the input line that comes through this filter or this attenuator here into this box, and I forget what this one is. I used to remember, I used to know, but I don't remember anymore. And plug in our signal of 100. Come back here and take this and plug it in. Let's see what happens. Shazamo. There's our signal. How lovely is that? That is awesome. Alright, so let's go ahead and try its own signal. We're going to do the 100 meg reference. And there it is. And let's come over to signal generator. And there it is. So let's walk this over to the other spectrum analyzer. And let me change my N connector. I swapped over from a N to a SMA. So let me go back to N to B and C. Yeah, it's just, as you can see, it's just a little bump on the screen. Not very loud and proud. Now you can see it's increasing. Not sure what that is, just probably apparently some internal noise. So, take that, stick it there. Wow, nothing. Like I said, we go over to this one and it's showing that it's working just fine. We have a really nice healthy signal. Okay, so it's coming out of signal generator. As you saw, we were receiving a signal on that one, and we definitely have one there. So, not sure what that is all about. Another problem for another day. Right now, this thing is working. We still haven't turned it off to see if it's going to come back to life. Remember all of our settings. Let's see how far down we can get this one to read. Turn our RF level all the way down to a -30. and we're not even getting a signal. Oh, let's do this. That might help. There we go. So leaving the signal generator at 0 dB, we've have a signal at negative 91, 93, somewhere in there. All right. Negative almost 77. And now the bottom, it's about a negative 116. And definitely coming from the generator, but I can't get it to do anything less. So yeah. So as you can see, definitely a lot better spectrum analyzer than that one. So that is pretty good. All right, here's the $8 question. Let's set this up. We're going to power down, and we're going to see if this comes back. All right, so that's about a negative 84-ish, somewhere in there. And we see that it's working. And then what I'll do, instead of swapping cables, let me just add another cable. The generator output. Oops, wrong cable. All right, so we're going to add another cable instead of swapping about, so we can monitor the output. Also to see if that's going to save our settings. So we can see we definitely have a input. Right? Have an input. So we're receiving, we're transmitting over here. The manual said wait about 30 seconds between recycles. That way you don't freak out the brain. Automatically got our signal right there. And make sure it's not coming from this. See that? It's not. And there's our receive. Awesome. So could that have all been the problem? Is that stupid battery? Did we get our... I think I even heard our beep. And there's our menu. Awesome. One more time. Got the signal transmitting, so it remembered. And there you go. All right, last test. What happens if we kill the battery? No more button battery voltage. And black screen. It's not receiving where we wanted it to. It's not transmitting. And are we locked up? We are indeed locked up. This will be the last go around without the button battery voltage to it. We'll apply next time around if it still goofs up on us. Okay, we heard it beep, but our trace is not wiggly. And we have no menu. Let's go ahead and turn the battery back on. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this back on. Not expecting it to transmit and receive at 28 megs. I know you can't see it, but on the side here we don't have the LED. So I'm wondering if we need to get into a spot where the thing could remember some settings. We program some settings and it'll remember that, and maybe it'll be good and we won't have these glitches. So we'll work on that theory if we can get to a proper boot sequence. There we go. So we are receiving and we are transmitting. All right, let's go ahead and power that off. We have the power supply still running for the memory battery. And we automatically see it's transmitting a signal. And there we go. So it appears that maybe all the glitches that it has is because of that battery. That it definitely needs to have a battery in there to retain all that stuff. Okay. And it's there. So how exciting. That is awesome. So I'm sitting there thinking, instead of putting a button battery in there, why don't I just put a AA or a AAA in there? Probably won't have to worry about it for the next 50 years. So I think that's probably what I'll do. So 3 out of 3 on this one, as we saw without the memory voltage applied, right away the thing failed each time. So, wow, awesome. Alrighty, it is the next scene for you, but for me it's been a couple hours. Went ahead and got the battery packs put in. I did not film that because camera angles, positioning, all that good stuff just would not have been cohesive enough for you and kind of in the way for me and all that good stuff. So I went ahead and took a couple of pictures after the fact of what it looks like. So give you some kind of idea what the finished product inside looks like. Now, I want to give a big shout out, big thank you to the wife. I was having issues soldering the wires together, so she came in and gave me a big hand with that and stuck the battery holders there, put the double back tape to it, and I created the labels for the battery. She cut them down to size and stuck them on there, and She was very instrumental to getting that aspect of the job done. So a big shout out and big thank you to her for being my eyes and my hands. As you can see, we have the spectrum analyzer in the back running. This one is not. We haven't had this one turned on in a couple hours. Signal generator running. Not plugged in, of course. And then we'll plug this one into there. Let's go ahead and fire this up. See what happens. Thumbing through the owner's manual, it looks like this device came out in about 1988 to 85. And looky there. It did remember our settings. However, why do I not have a signal? My signal back there is not happening. Oh, there's my signal right there. So it's because I forgot that I set this up for 5 megahertz per division, so we have a really wide spectrum there, and my signal generator was on low. So that's awesome. So it did come up. It did remember. I must have been a fluke. The 2 or 3 times I tried it before butting it back together. So let's go ahead and go to our menu, and we want to go to setup, I believe it is. Okay, generator is on. Oh, that's because that spectrum analyzer is on the wrong frequency. This is on 28.8. No, that's on 28. Let's turn up our generator. Okay. It's scanning. That's what it's doing. So I think because I have this set up in a wide frame like that, that makes the scan on that function. So let me turn this down. Yes, you can see that's slowing down. And you can see how it's affecting this. So, okay, so I just learned something right here with you, fine folks. So the scan width that affects this affects the tracking output. Okay, okay, cool. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is so nice. What I want to check is this reference. Now this reference is supposed to give us a 100 megahertz out at a negative 30. And so here we come, RF 100, enter, LAMO. And we are at negative 100. All right, so I don't need to open it up because as you can see, we are at 100 megahertz, negative 30. So that is very, very awesome. I like that a lot. That is so cool. I'm just pushing buttons right now is what I'm doing. There we go. Trying to learn this. All right, so we got us an awesome looking doodad. Alrighty, so one other thing we want to do is, will it pass or will it fail its internal calibration test? So for that, we'll go down to setup number 5, and then we want number 4, test. Whoops. Oh, number 5, test. Awesome. It passed. Cool. Very cool. I like that a lot. I'm going to be so fat and happy with this. I'm awfully glad that the troubleshooting and the fixing and all that stuff honestly didn't get too knee deep. It was just a couple little things. The RF connector fell off and wasn't allowing the signal to complete its circle. But the bulk of the problems, and that might have been my issue when I was putting it together. Maybe I didn't snap that back into place, or I totally forgot to do that. But it looks like the bulk of the problem all comes down to the stupid button battery. So we saw it locking up, we saw keyboard not responding, we saw the trace not responding, all kinds of neat and groovy things. We saw it just glitching out, wouldn't even boot up properly. So I guess that was sending the CPU into some kind of weird static of death or cycle of death or something. Hopefully with those 2 cells I put in there, I won't have to worry about this for quite some time. And I'm okay with that. So now the next thing is to pull the old one out of line, put the new one in line. This one Also has a internal speaker like that one does. This one you could actually hear, that one you can't. But it has an external speaker like that one does, except for the external speaker on this is on the rear. That's good and bad. I'll wire in a dedicated speaker. The bad is for that one, I'd wired in I have a powered speaker on my workbench that I use for that, but I also used it for other things. So it wasn't dedicated to that. So now I'll have to find one to dedicate for this. Again, no big deal. No big deal. It's crazy that stupid battery caused you so much pain and grief. If you're designing hardware, don't do that. Come up with a better way. Long story short, if you see issues like this out of your device or devices, search for the button battery, replace it first thing. Might save you tons of grief. If I would have known this like a month ago, I would have done that and would have been enjoying this. And thanks for watching. Again, we do appreciate it. We will catch you in the next Vintage Electronic Geeks video with a roundhouse of more vintage electronics. Till then, have a good one.